adventure site is no easy task. So we set about to do it in a very meaningful way, and we put out an RFP, a request for proposals, and we went out to all 48 lower states, although we excluded Florida because of hurricanes, and we said, who's got at least 10,000 acres, close to certain highways, within X miles of hospitals, within X miles of tourist facilities. I mean, you know, it's not an easy thing to cite. Think about the Jamboree, those of you who have been. We move 200 semis in and out every night to restock and resupply. You know, we had 100,000 visitors one day this year. So, you know, we needed certain infrastructure. And who's willing to help us financially? We're going to need some loans, we're going to need some guarantees, we're going to need some fast-track permitting. And we sent out this RFP, again, to the lower 48. And we gave a short window. We said, let us know if you're interested. These are our parameters. And we weren't sure what was going to happen. We didn't know. You know, we sent it out. We were hoping to get 25 to 30 spots to look at. Because we knew if we had 25 or 30 spots to look at, we'd find something that we could make work. But we truly didn't know, because we were reaching out to government. And again, you know, sometimes we may be controversial, and some people in government may not want to be involved. So we sent out the RFPs. We're waiting for our consultants in Greensville to let us know what comes in there. We're all supposed to be in on one set day. And we're all on conference call the whole day. You know, every hour we would do a little conference in to see where the numbers were. And at 10 o'clock in the morning, our first call, we get a note, we get a call from the Greensville folks. And they say, hey, we got 18 in FedEx this morning. We thought, 18? We're hitting our number. Because there's still UPS and hand delivery and regular mail and all that stuff. So we got 18 in. And then as the day went on, the calls continued. Then it was 18, and then it was 26, and then 35, and then 42, and then 57, and then 69. And all of a sudden it adds up, and we got 82 submissions. 82 submissions from across America. Truly, it was like this national Sally Field moment. They like us. These people like us, and they want us to come here. And what was more important were the letters from politicians and senators and leading business people across the country saying, you have to come here. We need our state to be a part of the Boy Scouts. We need what you will bring. When I was a boy, it changed my life, and here's how. Letters from governors and senators and across parties and across races and across age groups saying you guys are exactly what we need in our state. One governor sent us a $10 million check, said cash it and come. Another one sent a note that said, if you do this, we'll change our state slogan to the Boy Scout State. It reminded all of us of the important role that we play, and we oftentimes forget. You know what, we get caught up in our district committee meetings and in our FOS, and should we sell popcorn, or should we sell peanuts, or should we sell anything, and we forget. We oftentimes forget the impact that we have on communities and on people's lives when we get wrapped up in the little things that we have to get wrapped up in. So we went through the process, and by now you know we chose West Virginia. We bought 10,500 acres in Beckley, West Virginia, right on the New River. It's right near between New Hope and Beckley. It's a phenomenal facility. We're going to have the 2013 National Jamboree on that facility. We'll have a national training center there. Just like the Philmont Training Center, we'll have a training center east. If you take a compass and you draw a circle and a 10-hour drive, 75% of our membership can get to Beckley, West Virginia in a 10-hour drive. 75%. So we'll have a training center there, we'll have a high adventure base there. The high adventure base is going to have the best white water in America. We're going to have kayaking, we're going to have mountain biking, we're going to have rock climbing, we're going to have rappelling. In the winter months, we're going to have snow skiing, we're going to have cross-country skiing, snowmobiling. Even more importantly, we made an arrangement with the Park Service. I want to go back to that Order of the Arrow thing that I talked about, Arrow 4-5. Because of the relationship that was built there, now the Park Service says, we have a 100,000 acre park right next door that abuts your property. You guys can use it carte blanche. You can schedule events in there. You can put outpost camps, just like Philmont, on our 100,000 acres. So we have another 100,000 acres to leverage on and use for bike trails, and our kids will take mountain biking treks. They'll take mountain bikes from those 100,000 acres and go out for a week at a time if they don't want to hike it. We will have a fourth jewel in our high adventure crowd, and it is so important if we're going to do that to meet our promise to our kids. So as we looked at our 100th anniversary, we said we've got to do all these things. But the most important thing was the first one, which was to reorganize so that we could serve councils, so that councils would reorganize, like Jeff just talked about, and serve units. Because at the end of the day, everything we do, no matter how much money we raise, no matter how many properties we create, no matter how many PSAs we run, doesn't matter if our leaders aren't trained and our units aren't meeting. I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's us. Before I move on to the commissioner part, I need to tell you the story about the naming gift of the property. As most of you know, Stephen Bechtel Company, well, Stephen Bechtel Family Foundation is the lead gift on this property. And we spent a lot of time preparing to make the ask, and we were going to Mr. Bechtel's foundation and asking him for $20 million as a naming gift. It's a lot of money. So we did a lot of advance work and met with the foundation, and we were pretty much told, going into that meeting, that they had agreed to do a $10 million gift. Now, the Bechtel Foundation has never made more than a $5 million gift, so it was still a very big gift. $10 million, you don't sneeze at a $10 million gift. So our team goes in, Rex Tillerson, our national president, my counterpart, makes the ask, and when we get to the point of the ask, where we were going to ask for the 20, he says, well, no, Mr. Bechtel, I know that Mr. Bechtel's in his 80s, Eagle Scout, wonderful guy. He said, I know that you guys, your committee has already met and decided to do $10 million. And he says, no, I don't know what you're talking about. We haven't agreed to anything. He said, oh, we were of the understanding that you were doing $10 million. He said, we haven't agreed to anything, but any decisions. And his daughter, who runs the foundation, is kind of weighing in, saying, but we talked about this. He said, I've made no decisions on this, so just finish your ask. So of course Rex then says, we need $20 million for this ask. And here's our vision, and here's what we want to do with the project, and here's where we want to go. Here's how we're grabbing our future and controlling our destiny, and why it's so important to America's youth. And he said, great, call you in a week or two. And they walked out. It's like, so I'm on the phone, I wasn't in the ask. I said, so what happened? He said, we're not sure. I guess we'll know in a week. So a week or so later, the foundation calls, and Mr. Bechtel calls everybody to San Francisco. And he said, we looked it over, we get it. We get the vision, and we're going to do $50 million. Wow. So the Bechtel Summit has a lead gift of $50 million that we didn't ask for. Because he gets it. He gets it the same way you get it. We're commissioners. If you went to the national meeting last year, you heard a speech by one of the ministers during the Duty to God breakfast. And he tells a story that I just got to repeat because it is exactly who we are as commissioners. He talks about his first camping trip when he was out with the Scoutmaster. And the Scoutmaster was a very young troop. And he said, everybody bring a can of pork and beans for dinner. We're going to have pork and beans for dinner. He said, great. So the Scoutmaster went to his tent and said, you guys make your dinners. I'll be out in a little while. Well, these kids didn't know what to do with pork and beans, so they built the fire and they put the cans in the fire. Nobody told them about taking the tops off the cans in the fire. So the Scoutmaster's in his tent, he starts hearing all these explosions of this pork and beans everywhere, and he walks out. He says, what are you guys doing? He said, well, we didn't know. And he said, as a young scout, I looked at the Scoutmaster, who was incredibly frustrated, and said, boy, they must pay you a lot to do this. And he said, son, they couldn't pay me enough to do this. There's not enough money in the world to get me to do this. And frankly, nobody is stupid enough to volunteer to do this. This is a calling. This isn't volunteering. Volunteering is when you go feed the hungry at the homeless shelter one night a week, maybe if you feel like it. Volunteering is when you sit at a committee meeting and tell other people what to do. That's volunteering. This is a calling. This is something inside you that's been touched that says, this actually matters. This plays such an important role in my life that I will do whatever I need to do to make sure it survives and continues. And that's who we are as commissioners. That is our role. Look, this ain't a glamorous job. It's just not. It's misunderstood, it's underappreciated, and people don't get it. But you do. I tell my partners, because I do travel every week for the Boy Scouts. Every weekend, I get the pleasure of doing this somewhere in America. My wife gets the pleasure of going to the beach every weekend because I'm doing this somewhere in America. But I tell my partners, they say, okay, where are you going today? And I tell them, I said, this weekend I'm in Oklahoma. I'm going to talk to about